page.
Hey, everybody, we're live on the RCGroups podcast for real. Jason Cole was just joking with me and said we're live. And I looked at the button and we were not live. And Matt Gunn was just about to say something. So I thought I would say we're live with the RCGroups podcast before he said anything else. Sorry about that, Matt, but I did not want to go any later than 60 seconds late.
That's okay.
This week, I was running around the house looking for my killer wireless headphones, and I evidently left them on when I went to the gym yesterday because I like to work out.
Watch out. Put those guns away.
I see we're wearing the same shirt, Matt.
We are wearing the same shirt.
Same shirt.
Yeah, these are good shirts.
What the hell? Go put your shirt on, man.
I don't even have one of those.
No, your birthday shirt, bro.
It's on, dude. It's on.
Oh.
What do you need some
hilarious.
You need some bifocals?
I couldn't. It's black from here. Hey, everyone. So Jason got his birthday shirt. Maybe we'll let some live viewers get on before we show your birthday shirt off. From the small window, it just looks black. It doesn't look black to you, Mecca?
Yeah, it looks completely black.
You gotta get the light shining just right. If I do this way, it kind of gets hidden in the shadows. I don't know. Simmer down now.
Let me say to my live viewers, we had a bunch of live viewers and they all went away. What happened?
I don't know.
Somebody must know. Let's go to our live webpage. Let me go there. I was just on the phone with Emma, our mass emailer. All right. RC Groups is live. Radio Control Hangout. I put Radio Control in there to more aptly describe what we do.
It's all about the Google foo. You must let people who Google the words radio-controlled airplane know where we are.
Now it says we're down to 3 viewers. And it went ring, and then now they're all falling off. Well, I see Dean. I see Hornet. I see Andy says happy Thursday.
Don't worry about it. Just roll with it, man. Hey, you ever seen the original?
They're coming back. They're coming back.
You ever seen the original Cheech and Chong Up in Smoke, where Sergeant Stankowicz or whatever?
No, Stadenko.
It's Stadenko when he accidentally gets how do you say intoxicated on the I'm trying to break
you might get a rule from a moderator.
Yeah, so that happens, and then he starts eating the pizza, and he's flipping out eating the pizza, and the guy goes, "Just go with it, man. Just go with it." So that is my motto. So whenever you're having issues, just go with it.
Go with it. I watched that movie like 3 weeks ago. It came on, and I was like, I'm going to rewatch.
Good call, man. Up in Smoke is where my money goes.
We had parties to that.
Mm-hmm.
We would have everybody get a date, and then we'd go to a rental house and watch that movie. Oh, too much information. Hey, guess what? So, first of all, did y'all notice I have my Joe Knoll outfit on?
That is like straight up Joe Knoll, and it's my Joe Knoll outfit, sorta.
Well, before we talk about any cool products that are sitting behind me, so Jason's birthday is coming up this month in about 10 days, right, Jason? You're going to be
Thursday. This Thursday
at an event, or are you going to be back by then? Yeah, you'll be back.
Yeah.
So maybe Thursday you'll be off with your wife doing birthday stuff, and Friday you'll come see me at the Nash Bro.
Are we doing a hangout next Thursday at the Nash Bro?
Oh Lord,
let's make it happen.
We did it last year. We had Miss Liz on.
I got it. I
was in Croatia. I remember that actually.
I got it all figured out. I will run the show from my studio, and you guys can chime in, and I'll make it all happen.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm glad we're planning that out now because I love to make stuff happen. Right before we were on here, like I said, I was on my Emma changing street addresses. So that doesn't go out anymore in the mass email. We sent out an RC Groups mass email today. We're going to send out hopefully a Flying Giants. I do have a lot of stuff to do, so maybe Flying Giants tomorrow.
Wait till tomorrow. I got a brand new news story for FG that should go on there.
Good, because I got some things to do. And then next week, got enough stories, I think, to do another RC Groups. So we'll see how that goes. So we got a question from Hornet about the Drone War show. I was just talking to Jason. I don't even know if you can legally talk about what you told me about.
That was supposed to be a sad face, by the way.
Yeah, that was 2 happy faces don't equal 1 sad face.
Well, this is completely hearsay. I have no idea if this is fake or false or true or not, but the word on the street is that there's a lawsuit on one of the production companies for non-payment, and from what I understand, the Croatian editing team has the footage held hostage until they get their payment.
Yeah, so
it may never get finished and out. I have no idea.
What you don't do is not pay the people who have the footage. You pay them first. Oh my gosh.
Wow, that is unfortunate. I guess shoestring budgets do that to you, right?
Yeah, it's sad because it was, I mean, like we've talked about it a lot last year, but it was so much fun, such unique, cool stuff that we got to do that I'm sad that we'll never get to see. Maybe. Hopefully we do. Anyway.
Hey, the Hornet, check this out. So I do have a weird memory for names in that I don't remember them at all.
You don't know who Hornet NZ is?
But here's what I do have. The guys can attest to this because I find this really strange.
You know who you're joking, right?
Hold on. I can remember avatars of users. Like if somebody says blah, blah, I can see their avatar in my head. And I'm talking like from 2004, I can see avatar. So I have that strange. Who's the Hornet?
No, don't tell him. Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
Let's reviewer.
What is Jason?
Oh, sorry.
So that's not Mean Joe, right?
No.
Is it Nick?
Yes.
It's Nikolai.
Well, you know what?
I wanted to do some sort of game where we tried our best to describe him without describing him.
I had no idea. Somebody should throw Nikolai a link because of the most amazing, awesome review he did that just came out today that I put in the mass email that went out. That was stinking awesome, man.
I got him covered.
That review is like if somebody was like, "What's a great review for me to go by on my review?" I'd be able to show them that link to your review.
Oh,
I guess we should tell them that, show them that review, eh?
Yeah,
you know what? We'll let him get on. So Nick's coming on. While we have you live, what we did was Jason's birthday's coming up, and if you've ever, he doesn't wear it on the podcast, but in real life, Jason has a shirt he wears. And by the way, it's not Axiom, because don't try to Google that and find it.
It didn't work, did it?
It's Axiom, and it's a camera company, and that logo is not on the internet, by the way, Jason. So what I had to do was take a screenshot of Jason while he was talking to me in a live chat. I took a screenshot, drug it into Photoshop, and then what's up, Nick?
Nikolai. Hey, it's Hornet.
It's Hornet.
I heard that, Jim. I heard that you had to somehow get Jason to position the shirt well. So you were like, "Hey, Jason, have you been working out? Your chest looks huge." And Jason was like, "Oh, what? Really? Oh, cool." And then you were like, "Click."
All right, so Jason,
that is not what happened.
Jason, you talk, we won't talk, and show them your birthday shirt.
It says it's basically the same style and logo as my normal, like everyday around the house shirt, but it says Jason, my name, and you can see what it says. If you can read it, my wife couldn't read it; she didn't know what it said, and I looked at it and started laughing. Simmer down now.
Simmer down
now. It says under there. So Matt Gunn was in charge of the lower tag, and the reason it's like gray on black is that's how the other shirt looks, and I tried to get it close.
Well, Jason, the reason that this happens, like why you ask, why did Jim decide that there would be an Axiom copy that says Jason, this shirt? Why would we do that? Well, the reality is that Jason lives in that Axiom shirt. I mean, literally for years.
Every day.
I have no idea why it doesn't have holes, like moth holes in it or something. I've never seen a human being that could wear a shirt and it still look brand new.
You know what, Mecca? We should go ahead and make a Matt shirt and a Jim T-shirt, and they all say "Simmer down now," and then we could wear them at Joan All one day. Yeah,
it's gotta be our own unique logo. I know what one you're getting. You're getting the one that's your pickups. Your those humbucker pickups or whatever. What's
like a Lawler?
Whatever the shirt is that
Bixby.
You wear. That's that's the one you're getting. All
Bixby
right,
Jim T. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
And me, I don't know what I'm gonna get. I mean,
Toyota.
I do wear that, or I wear my SCAD shirt a lot. So I like my Savannah College of Art and Design alumni shirt. So I could probably do that. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Okay, I'm jumping over to RCGroups.com, the world's largest, the most active RC website. I'm gonna pluck the window out, and then I'm gonna go to RC Groups logo. I'm going to click on the first circle, all RC. Hey, look, there's a new Piper Cherokee. And I'm going to click on Nikolai Zinsley.
Way to not butcher it.
I say it right, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
We used to call him Zelensky.
Hornet NZ.
All right. Now we're going to
Hornet New Zealand. This could go anywhere. Okay, let me go ahead and share. Oh, you got it. You're done. Wow. Hey, Nick, this is one of your better reviews, man.
It's the best review ever.
I think from a photography standpoint, the writing's good. Your video's good.
Look at all these photos, man.
You ripped this review a new one.
So let me ask you a question. Let's get a little internal here. Oh my gosh. What? I'm going to find a video. Speaking of getting internal.
Easy. Simmer down now.
You got a workshop with a white table. What are you using there for your white backdrop?
So no, those pictures are just using a photography like white drape with a stand.
I'm thinking about doing a how to shoot RC like a pro article, and I'm going to put that in there, what I use, which is one of those white pull down shades for your windows. You know what I'm talking about?
Used a white bench to bounce lights off of. Let me increase the size here.
I went to the local camera shop and bought one of those giant 10-foot rolls of white paper.
Did you really? Because I have one too. Look right here. Look, see where I'm pointing?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't. Jim has the screen.
And I have it pulled down, over a table. That's how I do mine stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of pondering using paper now instead of the fabric because just for the wrinkles.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if you get a roll, which isn't cheap, but you can just keep rolling it out.
And actually, I don't remember how much, but it wasn't that much, and it's lasted years.
So is that how you do it? You keep Windex in the cockpit?
Yep.
It's for balancing purposes.
Keeps the bugs off too.
Look at that scale cockpit. That's screaming FPV right there.
So it's interesting why don't you click on that picture real quick, and Nick, you can tell them what you had to do.
You actually unlock a secret mode on the flight controller if you fly that arresty pattern.
That'd be awesome.
That's pretty good. Hilarious. All right, so tell them what you did here. One of those small.
Yeah, so this was interesting. I was, final steps, getting it all finished and ready to fly, and putting the stickers on. And I take the sticker off the sheet. And I'm like, it's clear. So all the dials and the arresty pattern, all that you see is white is actually clear. So they didn't put a backing color on that. And they had pre-painted that whole cockpit area in black. So if you would have put it on, you wouldn't have seen the darn thing.
Oh, yeah.
Did you note that? I guess we could see.
Yeah.
It's like you got a little liberal with your white paint, too.
Well, I didn't know how far it was going to go down. So then after I took this picture, I just painted black back up.
I'm messing with you.
Yeah.
That's an interesting issue. I mean, that literally is a really good point.
Look at that guy.
That's called Teeth McGee.
Who is that? That's got to be somebody.
That's the guy. That's a face out of my nightmares right there.
It's a little pilot buddy.
What's he?
Yeah, my wife painted him up. He was looking pretty sad from Park Zone, so I made it a little bit better.
That's nice.
There's your grip tape mod.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Oh, nice. Made little
that's a real
walking platform.
Some of these shots look very realistic.
What a good looking airplane, man.
I'm telling you, I wanted it, and then I said, Nick needs it.
Well, you kicked its butt. Have we heard back from Natalie on liking it?
Not yet. She's a busy woman. So I hope she'll probably get back to me at some point.
I sent her the link, and she actually found a little typo. So
that I missed.
She read it, but I didn't get the comment. No, it was the one I sent you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but
now it's fun time.
I was surprised how well it flew.
Legal help is here.
Legal help.
We need that.
Ryan STA from Tower Hobbies, located in Champagne, Illinois.
Champagne.
The Ryan
right next to the Target.
Yeah.
It's stripy. It's got Jim T. Graham's favorite colors: red, black, and white. And
it's got the flag going the correct way.
All right, here we go.
Hey guys, I'm Nikolai, and my last name might be Zelensky to some of you, but it's Zinsley.
Hello, I'm Nikolai Zinsley. Many of you know me from TV and films such as I poked myself in the eye and ouch, my finger. I'm here today with the newest airplane, the Ryan STA.
Oh my God.
Ryan STA.
Ryan STA. Looks good, man.
Look at this. Look up close.
I like those rivets. Or excuse me, not rivets. Those aren't rivets, but the
screws.
I think they're called easy locks or something. Something or others.
Pretty front nose. I like it.
Yeah, and the cool thing about that cowl is it uses no screws to mount.
I thought you were going to hand launch it.
All right, pass it. Blah, 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 blah.
Just about could. It's got plenty of power.
You gotta get the take off. You gotta get the take. So now we're going to go fly it. Catch you later.
Clear for the option 726. You can clear 6495 in your runways.
High speed pass.
What's that Rolls Royce Merlin?
What's it being generated to? I'm so confused right now.
Go away. Go away.
People listening to this without video are going to be slightly disappointed.
Well, this could be a podcast too. So there's an airplane in the air, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
All right. A loop, a roll.
It does loops, it does rolls, it does snaps, it even
slices, it
does
dices,
a hover.
How does it knife edge?
Not too bad, actually.
Probably a nice little bit of coupling, huh?
Yeah, a little bit of coupling, but not bad. Totally
I find coupling a stabilizing effect in a knife edge. Let you know what to pull on.
That's pretty dang true, yeah.
The most interesting facts I saw about flying this plane was it does not want to stall.
Which is good.
We had throttle off into the wind and full rate elevator. It just kind of sank.
It's got to have some nice washout though that makes that happen, right?
That was a jump and go.
It must, yeah.
Well, nice little.
The other thing, it was surprisingly aerobatic. I did not expect it to be quite that aerobatic.
I know you were saying you actually got it to torque roll.
We got the hover, not torque roll.
Okay. Just like a second, just enough hover to hang there for a second.
Oh, dang, cameraman! It's always tricky. You want to zoom in, but then you realize you needed to zoom out.
Yep. And my pilot here, he likes to show off with it and tumble and do all that. So I gotta stay zoomed out a little bit.
I told Jason difficult. I'm like, Jason, you got to warn me before you like pull in 90-degree left turns.
Man, Jim, you warned me about the difficulties of trying to shoot video at XFC, and I'm like, yeah, it's probably going to be difficult, but whoa. I mean, those guys changed 90 degrees at full throttle.
And helicopters?
Helicopters I gave up on. I didn't shoot those because that's like trying to focus on a gnat flying.
I used to do that live, and it would be like helicopter, blue sky, you know.
And then there's always those people that are like, do a better job focusing. Ugh.
Oh my God.
Wow, look at that. Got a little slow shutter speed and a nice.
Awesome. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I wish I was a little clearer, but come on, right?
It happens to the best of us.
Blue background or blur background.
I shoot an aperture priority. I'm going to try shutter priority next time.
You know what I'd do to that photo? I'd drag it into Photoshop and then go image. Forget exactly, but sometimes I can grab a little more focus on it in Photoshop.
Image redo.
You can use the sharpen mask, but that only helps just to an extent.
All right, very nice review, says King's Flyer. King's Flyer, a veteran reviewer of the site.
It sure is.
All right, I'm going to jump off of here. So, initial thoughts, Nick? I think you gave everything that you thought already, but
yep, 2 thumbs up.
All right,
good little
thumbs up, way up.
I don't think I can find this video. There's a video of me where I'm trying to shoot a video in my studio, and my son.
Oh yeah,
that would be funny to show, but there's no audio.
I remember that. Yeah, because you're like beep 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 beep, son of a beep monkey beep.
And then I look up and it's right now. It's when the baby spiders start hatching, and it's So when I looked up to see what the noise was, I noticed that there were hundreds of baby spiders right over my head. And then I'm like, damn spiders. And I'm killing them. But it looks like I'm crazy. That's what it looks like. And then I cuss and turn the video camera off.
Which is like a day in the life, like to a T of us.
So I was going to say that many of you out there talk to us about our jobs, and we're kind of talking about our jobs right now. And our job is pretty awesome. I mean, it is hobby related. It's RC airplane related. I'm always talking to these guys about, hey, did you see that? Hey, did you see this? Hey, I want that. Hey, I never want that. And it has a lot of perks. It has some downsides too that I think a lot of people don't think about, like online stalkers that stalk you since 2014 and threaten you in physical ways. That can be
because model airplanes.
Yeah, because model airplanes. The man's been stalking me since 2014. Anyway, so there are negatives. That's probably the number one negative for me. But anyway, I wanted to focus on the positive because it's Thursday. And right behind me is one of the biggest perks. My wife and I were going out yesterday to see a movie. And when we opened the door, she goes, "What is this?"
And you went, cha-ching!
I was like, I know exactly what it is.
All right, sharing screen on Jim TG.
It was a giant box with the Horizon Commander. Now, I get excited about some stuff. Some stuff I know is cool, but I have no business owning. And that's why we have guys like Nick. But I saw this. I liked it. I saw it at Toledo. I liked it. I went to the Horizon field, and I was like, I think I really like this airplane. And so then Kim called and said, the Commander hasn't been shipped out to you guys yet. And I said, well, if everybody's cool with it, I'm going to take it. So I did. And then I went back in the spider field yesterday and built it. So here it is.
The spider lair.
The spiders were there, by the way. So I got out the shot vac and I sucked them all up.
You're giving yourself such bad luck.
Oh, is it that bad luck? I didn't kill
spiders.
Oh, they're not dead. They're just living in the shot
they probably got a beam inside of a shot vac. Look at that. Hey, that looks like the same pilot that Nick has.
This guy is a little more serious with the sunglasses.
Mine had goggles on the top.
I actually have a thing of my own head, and it's not 3D, it's one-dimensional, but I'm thinking about putting that in there after the review. So this went together. I only have one problem with this, and we'll talk about it when we look at it. But this went together so easily. Jason, I want you to know that as I was building it, you popped into my head and you said, I always read the instructions, Jim. So I did read the instructions, and I will admit this tail group, it's just, and by the way, full review coming. I have photos of the build, and that'll be put in the video, and I'll do a VO on how easy it is. I'm putting this tail group together. I'm sliding them together, and then that's when it popped in my head. Always read the instructions. And I forgot to put the carbon fiber tube in the tail, which I told Matt I would have realized I had an extra tube and figured it out before I was done. But so the tail's held on with 2 screws, and this whole fuselage, prop, motor, all this stuff was in the box ready to go. And then I had to bolt. Look at this underneath here. I'm sure many of you have seen it already, but checkerboard. I bolted on this nice landing gear. And the only problem I had, you can see it in the video, these 4 screws, these wings, man. Well, I can't show you pictures and talk. So, but this has a mounting tab in here for the servos. So the tab slides into the fuse, and that connects the servos. There's no wires. And it has 2 plastic tabs right here that you then screw down with 2 different sizes.
Did you strip them out?
No. The first one went on great, right? No problem. The second one, I could not get the holes to line up with the bolts. So I tried to get a picture of this. I literally took my arm and my body, and I held the wing down while I screwed it on, trying to get it right over the hole. That was the hardest part of the build, was trying
that's what they call one of those Friday afternoon airplanes,
Yeah. Oh, you could totally build this at the field.
I had a similar issue, I think, with my P2 Prometheus. Like that hole just didn't want to line up.
So there's your internals. You've got your servos, your AS3X, your battery. And I meant to have the battery in it, but it's over sitting by my charging table. And
what does that logo mean, MPD? Am I missing something? The logo right above
Mirko.
Mirko. Okay. I've said this so many times in the past that I didn't mention it here. This is a David Payne co-design with Mirko, who is an Italian designer. Now check this out. Mirko also designed the scheme on Jim Burke's latest full-scale aerobatic. By the way, I did talk to Jim Burke today. He is in Africa competing in the world's aerobatic nationals. I guess
not just any Africa. He's in South Africa.
South Africa. I didn't want to get my Africa wrong, so I went general.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
And so
well, he's not in North Africa.
I thought he was back. And when he answered, I swear they were in a wooden hut in the middle of the dark. It was he and Steve. Jason, you know Steve from our local field?
Yeah.
That flies full scale. He was out there too. And I was like, man, African internet sucks. Let me tell you. So I got off
across the pond.
So there it is. It's ready to fly. I think Jason and I are planning on going out Monday, and I'm going to fly it like a normal person would, and then Jason's going to fly it like an abnormal person would fly it. And we're going to videotape, and then we'll talk about after the flight what we thought. And I've seen this thing fly enough to know that it's going to fly great. So it looks good in the office too, doesn't it?
It looks pretty darn good.
Should be there. I showed it off to my wife as I was bringing it in here for the show, and I just walked in and was like, she said, "Oh, that's so cute."
That's such a wife response.
Yeah, I'm not. That's not what we're looking for.
Cute. They're not cute. They're manly. Awesome. But apparently that plane is quite cute.
The other thing we're going to do, and we talked about this on a previous podcast, is the focal DVRs are going to go out with us, and we're going to shoot some DVR, record it. I'm going to wear them and use them, and then I'll post a review just about the specs and stats of the DVR Fat Sharks and how I liked it and how they fit. We'll let Jason fly around in them and see what he thinks. And I just have a feeling these will be my new main goggles from here on out.
Nice.
And
hey, speaking of, sorry, go ahead.
HD input.
That's important because there's so many HD items, especially the Connex and your DJI products, things like that benefit from HD. So speaking of Fat Sharks, I've had this Furious FPV True D for a long time. I got it last year, but it had some problems with the firmware. It was just I got worse range using this than I did with a standard antenna. For some reason, it had a problem with it. So I wrote the owner, and he said, yeah, V1, they have really bad firmware, and you need to update your firmware, and that really solves the problem with these things. So the problem is that there's no USB input on these as they have now with version 2, 2.5, and 3. They've gone that far. So, but these are still, they use all the same internals aside from not being able to, they have a changed button on here, and they have the ability to use USB. So I had to order one of those, what is it, R232 adapters or something like that. So I'm waiting for that to come in, and I'm going to update this. I'm going to hook this bad boy back up and start using it. I'm excited.
So you're saying that, where's my camera? I have this module right here, and you're saying that module, I can pop this out and pop that module on, or the version 3 if I wanted on these.
Correct. Things. Yeah, they're about $70 to $80 for a dual diversity receiver. And
I own that.
Then you'll have Tri-Diversity. So
I own dualdiversity.com if you want to visit.
That joke never gets old. But this is a great little unit and good for diversity. So you can put your patch on here, and you can put your Omni. Good stuff.
Nice.
Jason, what have you been doing?
I've been getting ready for the Bruce. I head out tomorrow, and one of the things I'm excited about to use for the first time is kind of sitting on the floor right here. But I was browsing around RCGroups, and I was like trying to find these glider carrier things for DLGs that these guys use at the field to kind of protect their models, keep them from getting flipped over if a wind gust comes by or something, and keep people from stepping on them and things. So I found a post by RCGroups user in Valumanos.
Oh, can you spell that, please?
He's from Greece. And so he sells these things.
Let me just stop you there. Why don't you tell him to change his username?
Yeah.
It's 4 consonants and a vowel.
It's actually, his company's called the Sailplane Workshop. And it's just a small, mom and pop kind of thing, and he does these things. But anyway, he's selling these, and I bought it from Greece, and he shipped it to me, and
That's hot.
I'm like, man, this is so nice for keeping all my models together. It's really simple. It's just plywood and some, 3 things and some wing nuts and bolts. And
now, do you have to stagger the planes so the nose don't touch, or does it matter?
They won't touch if you do them, but the tails might. I mean, maybe it touches, but it's not a big deal. I staggered them mainly because of the tails, if you can see back there. Yeah. So the tail still would touch the verticals, at least with my my covers on. Probably without the covers, they don't touch. But anyway, so this is how I'm going to haul my planes to the field and store them.
That is nice.
We're not flying, so I'm excited to use this at the Bruce, the largest DLG contest.
Bruce.
It looks like you can also put that in your front window, and that way you can also use those car shades to keep the sun out of your car. Wow,
block the sun. Yeah. That's awesome.
A duality. That's like a
pretty good.
Dual diversity there.
Yeah, so I'm pumped. I'll be camping out all weekend in Bruce's backyard and flying gliders and having a good time. So I'm really excited. The weather looks really, really good. 80s, light winds, 60s, mid-60s at night for me camping in my hammock. It's going to be beautiful. So
well, pet a donkey for me. Make sure you say hello to the donkeys.
The donkeys, yeah.
I don't know.
I had a pair of miniature donkeys growing up, Minnie and Pearl.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah. I grew up on an exotic animal ranch, Matt.
It changes weekly from what I know about you. So
we raised zebra, antelope, miniature donkeys, miniature goats, eland, antelope. We had 30 llama, buffalo.
So basically North American domesticated animals.
I became an expert on what could kill you and what couldn't. And about 70% of those animals wanted to kill you.
Yeah.
Not the pygmy goats. They just want to jump on your head.
It could be death depending on what position you're in.
And then I'll end with this. I used to give the donkeys chewing gum because I thought it was hilarious. The next day when I'd come out and they'd still be chewing the same piece of gum in the pasture, both of them just.
You're going to get a call from PETA.
That was 1970s.
All right. Well, they'll get you somehow.
Jason, what else you got? Looks like you got something else, Jason.
Oh, well, we're talking about 3D printers a little bit. I've basically been 3D printing nonstop since last week, since I got it. And so one of the things, I've got these little carabiners that I printed that I'm going to use to hang like my backpack and stuff from my hammock at the Bruce this weekend.
Those are totally good for human holding and going up the side of a rock face.
Yeah, you can trust your life to this plastic. I would totally not do that.
All you got to do is write on it for climbing. Then you're good.
Yeah. And then I made
what kind of plastic is it?
If anybody's familiar with the video game Destiny, this is a Destiny Ghost, and it's got a.
Dude, you were really going all in.
So I've been having a blast. This one's not quite finished yet, but we're getting there.
I've got to listen to this about Jason Cole. So all of us are gamers. Nikolai, are you a gamer?
Yep.
I'm more of a tanker. I don't think playing war tanks is really gaming, but Jason plays a game online in his virtual world, and his team is 5th in the world, right? Or fifth in the US?
Fifth in the North American Cup.
And if he becomes 4th, if they become 4th, they get flown to Europe.
No. We go to. It's called Echo Arena. It's like Ultimate Frisbee and 0 Gs. It's really fun, but it's a VR game on the Rift. And they have a tournament going right now with the ESL, the Esports League. And the top 4 teams from this tournament go to California to the Oculus convention and compete to go to Poland for the World Championship. So we're in 5th currently. We're tied with 5th with several people. So, I mean, there's a chance we could make it. We're not far behind on points, but there's a chance we won't make it.
Do you stand up or do you sit when you're doing this?
Oh, I stand up. Yeah, you have a 4x4 square pad that you stand on for this game.
Do you have rear sensors as well, like 2 of them or just 1?
I've got 4 sensors on my setup, yeah. So I got full 360 tracking, can move anywhere I want. But this particular game rules, you have to stand in a 4-foot by 4-foot square. You can't go outside of that with your feet. Now you can reach and punch and do things outside of that.
Huh.
But anyway, it's a lot of fun.
That sounds cool.
I enjoy gaming and things. amongst other things.
Heck yeah.
So
Hey, I've got a little thing to talk about here on kind of moderately a AMA note and / personal note. I've got Randy Cameron is running for AMA Executive Vice President.
Oh, Randy.
I don't know if you know Randy, but here's a picture of him I took. Bam! That's him at serving barbecue to you. At,
I could go for some barbecue right now.
Oh, yeah, especially at Joe Nall Barbecue.
Coming down to Fly for Tots Saturday night barbecue and bluegrass.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Well, Randy is coming to NASPRO. This is how I know it. He's come to NASPRO every year for like 8 years straight. Mm-hmm. So he'll be here next week on the grass hanging out with me. And when I found out he was running, I went to the AMA site and pulled the information. And so I thought, I know Randy personally. He's the reason I'm a contest director. Every AMA question I have, I call Randy and he takes care of me. And so if you go to RCGroups or Flying Giants, you can read a little bit about his lifelong love of flying, and he was in the service and all the other things. 33 years married. I believe that shows some stability. And just want to give a shout out to a good friend and AMA member, Randy Cameron.
Randy,
executive vice presidential candidate.
Nice.
Hey man, there have been a lot of good stories coming out on flyinggiants.com.
There have been. Look at that.
Hey, you know what? Let's talk about this. So
look at that trio of awesomeness.
I was on the phone with Matt. Oh, actually, it was a Google Hangout. And I said, hey, I am getting so much great feedback. People are like, hey, we're having an event and we're looking for sponsors. So we don't sponsor. It's not like we have a pile of cash at Fly Giants where we dole it out. But what we do is if you have an event, then I always say, send me dates, location, links, and then write to me about why it's awesome and why
we definitely want a little bit of a high level summary. Yeah.
Right. And then I take all that and I always create a feature event, or Matt will, if you contact Matt. And then what's happening, this has happened in the past, but it's kind of starting to happen again, is people are uploading photos to the site. So the thing that breaks our heart, I don't know if there's any other things to look at here. No, the thing that breaks our heart is when somebody uploads photos and we miss it and we don't get to feature it on the homepage. Mm-hmm. No one's ever said to me, why did you feature me on the homepage? Everyone seems to be excited about it.
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah. So if you have photos or something, just PM us from the site or email us, whatever you want to do. You can even Facebook us, although that is a terrible way for me to get content because it's hard.
Yeah. And guess what? We have our, go ahead.
You go ahead. What are you going to say?
I was going to say we have our first submission from our good buddy Express. He has the Tri-Cities 2017 Huckfest that we're going to be uploading. He just sent me the emails today, and I've got photos from his girlfriend Ashley, and I've got video to upload and all sorts of good stuff. So thank you, Express, for being our first real guinea pig from this article.
And is that what we're waiting on for tomorrow? We'll have that up tomorrow for the mass.
No, that's not. That can be done. I can put that together, but I wanted to talk about a new product from Phoenix Model that just came out. So.
Like this Fall Fest update is one of those, and Harvest Huck was another one where I'm like, hey, let me feature this. In fact, this guy sent me a message. I don't even know. He didn't ask me to do anything. He just said, hey, we're having this thing. I went to his page. I borrowed this photo. Then I took the letter that he sent me. He did not mean for it to be on Flying Giants. And then I found all this other information. This is actually where all this came from, Matt. I was like, you know what? We should do a story about why. And then he sent me these photos.
Yeah.
And then I replied back with this link, and he was blown away that all that became a feature story.
Hey, we'll make you famous.
Make you famous. Who said that, Nikolai? Do you know?
Oh, you would ask me that. I don't know.
Jason Cole, who said I'll make you famous?
I have no idea.
I do know that it was said in Full Metal Jacket.
Billy the Kid.
That?
Billy the Kid. Yeah.
Well, in Full Metal Jacket, he was talking about the stars and bars or whatever. And they said we'll make you famous. You know. Anyway,
while we're here, 50 cal. I got an email from Chris Henson. It was crazy. I was going to work out, and I was going to call Chris on the way over, and I didn't because I figured Chris was busy. And then that day he emailed me and said, hey, we need to talk. We're signing 50 cal to Team Extreme. And so we got the scoop, sort of. He also signed a Futaba on the same day, I guess. And so this is the announcement on him. And all this, how old is this kid? 9? And he's
a little older than that, probably 10. I'm just kidding.
13.
Look at Cal. He looks pretty young.
You know, by the way, you gotta say it right. It's Fitty.
Fitty Cal.
Fitty.
Right.
Make sure they gotta make sure that you
he's a cousin, right?
Shorten it up a little bit.
He's one of Big D's cousins.
Hey, nice Flying Giants logo on there. Is that the real logo, or did you?
Ooh, Jim T. Graham did that. I was telling somebody about that.
That was waiting. That was a good one. That was a good one.
I saw that. Yeah.
I've got some real good insertions. Easy, Matt, and it's really, you can't even tell some of mine. Oh, there you go. Check out that biplane. Or excuse me, that Great Plains Giant.
By the way, I got a message that this article is getting more views than usual. It was automated. So evidently, it's crazy. We grew up, we being everyone watching this show, I guarantee either had this plane or saw this plane fly at the field, and then they bring it back, and everybody's like interested in it, which is cool. I don't think it's a great flying airplane. I mean, I would call it a beginner / sport, but it's a coupling type of thing, but it's just easy to do.
I like it. It's just got a 2-piece fuselage too.
This was my first airplane, as a matter of fact. Boy, I wonder if I could find a photo. I crashed. It was a 40 size big stick, or not an ugly stick, and I put a 60 on it, and almost ran myself out of the hobby because it scared me so bad. So my instructor, Bryce Custer, I'll turn this off. I guess I can tell this story. It's not like it's illegal. Bryce was teaching me how to fly, and I had not yet maidened. And I had built the ugly stick, which I guarantee before we're done talking, I'll find a picture of it. I did custom graphics, everything. And so the day it was time for me to maiden, I called Bryce to see if he'd be at the field. And Bryce said, "I'm out of town. You'll have to maiden it by yourself." I couldn't even fathom maidening anything by myself. I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Go to the field and fly it. You'll be able to do it. I'm telling you." So I go to the field, and we have a pilot there who Jason might have met. He was from Taiwan, and a big heli pilot. His wife hated him flying helis to the point that one day she super glued his sticks and his transmitter. And he's like, anyway, he was not happy. Crazy. So I take off my 60 ugly stick, and as soon as I'm like, "Wah!" and then I ran off the hill. I couldn't see the airplane anymore. And I just did what every man would do. I jammed it full throttle, and this thing rose up from the back of the hill straight up. And right as it got, over the hill where I could see it eye to eye, the power of that 60 blew my muffler off. I'm sure I put it on wrong.
Yeah.
So it went, wah, wah! And as soon as the muffler blew off, I was gone. I was mentally not there anymore. And the Taiwanese, I forget his name, man. But anyway, he got behind me, and he said, "I will help you." And so I am scorching at 180 miles an hour towards where the road
throttle
is.
It's either full or nothing.
It was full throttle.
You can't dial it back. You just got to keep it wide open.
The only cars in the area were one street that are the edge of the field, and I had taken it straight to the street and somehow managed to turn. So now I'm flying over the street full of cars, and it's going, "Wah!" And then if I would turn right, it would do a full rotation. It was inverted, and he would go, turn left. And when I turned left, it would rotate and go inverted again. Turn right. And on the turn right, it did a big arc and went down. And I knew I'd crashed it, and it was over. It went in a parking lot in the park, Jason, way over across the field, right?
Yeah, buddy.
It had huge aluminum landing gear on it that I put on it. I know this is for a fact. It hit the ground. It's over, and then it's back in the air. The motor's dead. I flew it as long as I could see it, and I'm shaking. I'm freaked out. I go over, and I put that thing in full speed on the landing gear, and it's unbelievable. I understand this. Behind a car, like a foot away from hitting a car, dead on. I would have had to call the cops and report it and the whole thing. The landing gear was laying on the ground, and the wood to the fuse was with it.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty common.
All I can figure is that airplane hit the ground and that aluminum landing gear spread out and sprung the plane back in the air.
And
what else?
Yeah.
What else could have happened?
Yeah. And did it survive after its second crash when you flew it into the back end?
I found it. It went up over a creek, over trees, and landed in a cornfield on the other side of the park. And so, yes, I found it and put it all back together. It was, in fact, the name of that airplane was the Death Stick. So I'm going to find the graphic and I'll
there's your first clue.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking about we've been flying for a long time, and I was thinking the other day about my very first airplane experiences and how I had no piloting skills whatsoever, but I somehow just took off all these different nitro planes, and when I would buy one, I'd fly it for about 5 or 6 times and then crash it and then go buy another one. And it was like I can count literally all these planes and how I crashed them. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I really did not have any flying skills when I first started. I would like fly. I had this Cox Scorpion. I flew it into the trees line, like way farther away than you should be at a field, into this tree line, flew that one in there. I would just auger stuff in left and right, and then somehow learned how to fly off of that. So,
what about you, Nick? How did you get going?
So I've always been into planes. My dad and I used to go to the air shows all the time, and I used to build the plastic models as a kid. And then for some reason, I never heard or saw any RC in the hobby shops, despite me going in to buy models and stuff. But somehow I found out that the RC club was like 2 miles from my mom's house. So I started to go in there and eventually bought the Air Corps 4D trainer, the best plane ever. Yeah, I started there about 20 years ago. I didn't crash much though.
Was the Hobby King not the Hobby King, the Hobbico Duraplane. That was my first airplane. That literally had styrofoam wings, like cooler styrofoam wings.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a fun one. It had an aluminum C-channel wing spar. Man, that plane was durable. Yeah.
Yep.
The Duraplane. Remember the old Hobbico or Great Plains Cherokee, that blue one that they had? It was a long time ago. That was my second plane. And then I had some biplanes, and I had a Lanier Stinger, a Stinger 40 that I bought. And then I had a Global. Remember the company Global?
Yeah.
I had a Global Sky Raider with a 60 on it. All planes that met their demise at my hands. But it just literally went on and on and on. All these planes that I had, and all of them were balsa built up. No, there was no foam, real foam planes at the time. And when I say at the time, I mean like late 90s is kind of when I was doing most of my.
I'm going to look for something. I'll be right back. Jason, you're in charge.
Oh, no. Well, then, let's talk about RC things.
Tell us about your experiences starting out, Jason.
In the hobby completely?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a quick little story about, I think I've probably told this before, but maybe nobody remembers. So my first airplane was a Great Plains Spirit glider, and I tossed it like on the ground a couple times, really didn't know how to fly or do anything. Took it out to the Lump Overlook off the Blue Ridge Parkway in the mountains of North Carolina. We had a great group of guys that were flying sailplanes and doing crazy stuff. And you had to bungee launch over the trees, but then once you were over the trees, it was just lift for hours and days. Cool. So they got it up for me. Was flying it, trimmed it out, made everything, fly great. He handed me the sticks. I'm looking at it, and I'm just shaking. After about a minute, I'm like, okay, here, you take it. I couldn't fly it. I was so distraught with I'm going to crash this thing. And it was literally a polyhedral sailplane trainer, and it was floating by itself, hands-free, way up in the sky, no danger whatsoever, and I couldn't handle it. And eventually shook those nerves off and was able to fly. But
and that's it. That's how you got started in this game, huh?
That's right.
Okay, check this out. A, This airplane predates me posting on the internet. That's a long time ago. This is the graphic from the wing of that airplane.
Wow.
And it was not a 60, it was an 80 that I put on that 40 size plane. The Death Stick 80.
Did you make that graphic? That's pretty nice.
Yeah, I did. I guess I did this in Photoshop. And that's a 2-stroke motor with pistons.
You even got your glow plug sticking out the top of it too.
Man, I've been at it a long time.
That's nice. I like it. I like
Before
it.
the internet.
I'm trying to remember some other planes that I had back in the day. I had a Great Plains big glider with dihedral in it, no motor.
No motor.
I don't remember what Great Plains it was, but it was like a.
So I had the Spectra, but they had a motor.
Okay, I don't know what it was, but man, Tri-County RC, that was Savannah, Georgia's club. That's where I started. And I actually learned to fly on Real Flight 1. I was at the field, and I think I told this story in my Real Flight review that I would show up at the field and just sort of watch. My mom would drive me up there. And then this guy who was a plumber, I'll always remember this, he always came up with this plumbing truck, and he would fly, and I would just stand there and watch. And then this is totally throws up every red flag ever, but he invited me over to his house. I'm just a teenager. He invited me over to his house to try out Real Flight, and I did it. And like, there was no funny business or anything. That's how I learned to fly, just sitting there. He just let me have the room, and I would fly in his office on Real Flight. And then that's when I bought my Durplane and maidened it. And he was kind of like, I remember after I took off and landed and I turned around, he was like golf clapping. He was like,
oh, nice.
Yeah. So that was my story of how I got started.
I crashed so many airplanes that I sold my favorite airplane. It was blue and yellow. It had the crow. It was an ugly stick you could put crow on there. Do you remember that one?
I do not.
Well, I sold it to a guy in a parking lot, and I took that money and bought Real Flight. And then all I did was take off and land for a month. And then I went back to the airfield, and from then on, I was golden.
Mm-hmm.
And landing is still one of my favorite things. A pretty landing. Now, Jason can remember this. Our field used to be on a hill. The hill's gone now. They took it. But there would be a curl of air right before you got to the end of the tip of the landing strip. So if you came in perfect, right before you thought you were about to land, your airplane would always go up. And so learning how to grease it on that strip and getting it straight, like coming down the hill and going, sorry. And then all the old men would clap. That's how you knew you did it right.
You remember the first FPV experience? What was your very first real FPV experience and what plane?
Jason Cole, 12 years ago called me. I had left Hobby Lobby, and he and the new owner, one of the first new owners, called me and said, you got to come to the field and see what we're checking out here. And they had goggles. You would remember what they were, Jason. I would have no idea.
I named it. So I named the product. It was called Pilot View.
And so they had a
production kind of all-in-one stuff.
And
we
where
put it
did
on
you guys
Star.
You go to Europe and bring it back, or where did it come from?
No, it came from China.
But that was, I guarantee, if not the first unit in the country, one of the first 20 FPV units flown in the U.S.
Well, it wasn't first, like, people were doing FPV at this point, but this was the first. You had to go buy a camera and a video transmitter and stuff and make it all work. This was the first kind of buy one package box of everything that you needed to fly FPV.
And once again, 12 years ago.
So, yeah.
Long time.
Or more. Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. Mine was the right wing Zephyr 2. I bought it was Chris Click's first foray into real FPV design. So he made this Zephyr 2, which was like 58 or 60 inch wingspan. I think it had a nice lifting airfoil, but it was still fast. And I used a 900 megahertz, 500 or 600 milliwatt transmitter with the monopole antenna. And then on the ground, I bought a 900 megahertz patch antenna, and I used 2.4 Futaba, and I just flew the son of a gun, and I had terrible reception, but it was so exciting. I used the original Eagle Tree OSD, and it was just a lot of fun flying it. I had so much fun, but it was terrible reception, and I couldn't get it right, and I started to get frustrated. It was staticky a lot, and so on a whim, I switched over to 1.2 and used a notch filter, and it was like amazing. I loved it instantly. And then after that was kind of when the circular polarized sort of thing was going down, where they were just starting to get into, I think Alex Grieve was just making his first CP antennas for 1.2 and stuff like that. This is before, like, this is really kind of the advent of when 5.8 was starting to pick up. I used that CP, and I was done. Like, I could not, when I say done, I mean, I'd found my setup. I loved it. It was wonderful. I could go miles out. I could go miles up. I could go anywhere I wanted within, and my only limit was the battery pack at this point. So I was like doing cloud surfing and stuff like that back when it was still a Wild West and people wouldn't throw you under the bus if you posted a cloud video. So I was just having a great time flying FPV, and then I went to Dragon Link, and when I finally got the Dragon Link set up, it's like, you know, the rest is history. I've always been Dragon Link and 1.2 on all my airplanes. So good stuff.
One thing I remember way after I flew with Jason was when I was like, okay, I'm going to become an FPV guy. And when I started posting, I remember people seeming pissed off that I was getting into FPV and that they had been in FPV longer, and how dare I attempt to be an FPV pilot when they were obviously real FPV pilots. And I thought
that's called elite status, as we were talking about.
Yeah, I don't think it exists now. I don't see it that much on the site, but right at the beginning, man, I couldn't believe the amount of resistance I was getting from other pilights about other
air
people.
of superiority from people, man.
You have no business FPV. What are you even talking about?
I used to get hate mail from people saying that I was, quote unquote, going to ruin the hobby for the rest of us. That was this was before the drone word was used for quads and stuff. Way before that. This was before there was a Phantom. This was before all that sort of stuff. So I'm flying fixed wing FPV, and I'm getting, every once in a blue moon, I'd get a hate mail from a guy saying that I was going to ruin it for the hobby, or I was going to hit a full scale airplane. I will always remember that. And then every once in a while, I mean, I was flying out there. I was, hanging it all out in the wind and posting the video for everyone to see. So.
I can't believe that you actually did ruin the hobby.
I did. I did a great job. I ruined it for everyone. Just as that guy said, I ruined it for everyone. So,
well, they said 3D was
promise what I'm here for. 3D, rep. 3D was going to ruin it for the hobby. Those dang old kids with their hoverings over the runways.
The Profile Brotherhood that, we're having the show next week, of course, but people were like upset and up in arms. I was Billy Hell back then, and if you brought Billy Hell up in the wrong circle, I was once in a circle of pilots in the north.
Definitely not Michigan. A circle of trust.
I was in Michigan in a basement, and it was all RC pilots invited me over, and they started talking about Billy Hell and how he was going to ruin the hobby. And I let him go for a minute or two, and then I felt bad about it. Like I was I don't know, I didn't feel right. So I said, what I said was, that Billy Hell, what a butthead. And this other guy goes, right? He's ruining the hobby for everybody with that 3D.
Please tell me you said, I'm Billy Hell.
And then I said, I'm Billy Hell. And then the guy that invited me goes, he's not lying. It's actually Billy Hell.
Did they all feel like complete idiots afterwards? I hope so.
We were drinking beer, so we all just started laughing.
Oh my God. It's a feel-good story of the day. Good job, man.
I immediately felt terrible that I was leading this guy on.
Nah, man, that's just how it should be done, because they're talking crap, dude. What the hell?
Yeah. Well, but I tell you what, being guys who work on an RC website, talking crap is the name of the game, especially on the internet. So it's just going to happen.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff, dude. It's a lot of crap talking, but it's always the same. I've yet to see, like, I mean, okay, I take that back. I've seen a couple of tiffs at a fly-in before, but never the way it is online. It's never the way it is online. It's just people flying, having a good time, conversing, doing all that good stuff, and then you get back on the internet and you're like, you're a terrible pilot, or blah blah blah, or you're gonna ruin it for the rest,
And 99% of the time, let's say you got a guy who's really, really nasty on the internet. You meet him at the field 1 hour later, you guys are friends every time, right, Matt?
That happens to me a lot. I get Jason, me, and Jim, when you're kind of doing this sort of thing in the public eye, and you can make some enemies really quickly. Even if you're not trying, you can make some enemies, or just people that think differently of you than you think they do. So when you meet them in person, I've had people, I've literally thought when someone said, "Hey, you Matt Gunn?" I'm like, should I like get ready for a fight? And they're like, "Hey, I'm Phil," or "Hey, I'm John," or "Hey, I'm Brad." And I'm like, "How you doing, man?" And then all of a sudden it's like, "Man, that one time that you did this," and I was like, "Coo," and I'm like, "Coo." So, it's all turns out that you're buddies at the end.
The favorite thing of the job is going to like Joe Nall or Seth and just hanging out with the people that post on the site and fly and all this. My wife says I always come home in 100% better mood than when I left.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Awesome. Well, everybody, it's been another RC Groups podcast. Another hour.
An hour.
Yeah. And we're going to have a lot more to talk about. I'll be on the ground next week at the Nash Pro, and Jason will be back and be able to talk about his experience at El Bruce.
Yeah.
And Nikolai is growing his hair out, so he should have longer hair next week on the top of his head. We can check on the length measurement on that.
Use one of those tire gauges.
Yep.
And then Matt's going to be in charge. So Matt, you're going to fire up the machine and let me know where to link onto, and I'll have my laptop out.
We'll run a good show from your area too. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thanks to everybody who's listened to us live, and thanks to everyone who'll listen to us on the internet, and spread the word. Internet podcasts / video shows are kind of getting thin. So let everybody know we're out here. I did put radio control in the title, so everybody will be finding us now. I'm Jim T. Graham, your host. Thanks to Matt Gunn. Thanks to Jason Cole, and thanks to Nikolai. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Hey, 3, sit down now.
1
on the RC Groups podcast. RC Groups, the world's largest and most active. Down.
Shut it down now.
Shut it down now. There's a lag.
It won't shut off.
I pushed the button.